Hello, welcome to the Mark Janard Show, the cybersecurity show. Imagine a device that can be used to reverse engineer firmware, basically able to hack anything virtually, and this device is legal. However, if used in the wrong hands, can do serious damage to virtually any website, any firmware, anything. In this video, I'm going to talk about this device that is legal. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going dark. So the CH341A is a versatile USB programmer tool that can be used for various hardware hacking and firmware analysis purposes, right? There is the firmware dumping and analysis, right? The CH341A allows hackers and security researchers to read firmware directly from chips on electronic devices, right? What that does is it enables extracting firmware for reverse engineering and vulnerability analysis. The next thing is identifying outdated or vulnerable software components, discovering hard-coded credentials or sensitive information. Now, firmware modification. This is what I feel is really dangerous about this device. Once the firmware is dumped, it can be modified and reflashed to the device, right? What that allows is customizing device functionality, bypassing security restrictions, adding backdoors or malicious code, right? The BIOS/UEFI hacking. The CH341A can be used to read, modify, and flash BIOS/UEFI firmware on computer motherboards. This enables removing BIOS passwords, modifying BIOS settings, installing custom BIOS firmware. IoT device hacking. The low cost and ease of use make the CH341A popular for hacking IoT devices. There's extracting firmware from smart home devices, routers, one of the key networking equipment in basically any environment, IT. There's the modifying of IoT device behavior, bypassing security on IoT products. Now the key features are it supports multiple protocols, SPI, I2C, UART, right? It works with many common flash chip types. It's inexpensive, roughly around $10, and widely available. It can read chips without desoldering in many cases. Now, while the CH341A enables powerful hardware hacking capabilities, it's important to note that, using it on devices you don't own is illegal, so don't do it. It should be only used for ethical security research on your own device or devices, or with explicit permission. Now, there are some common vulnerabilities with this device, right? It's $10. Of course, there's going to be vulnerabilities with it. So, hard-coded credentials, right? Many devices contain hard-coded usernames, passwords, or encryption within their firmware. Extracting and analyzing the firmware can reveal these sensitive credentials, which could be exploited by attackers. There's outdated software components, right? Firmware often contains outdated libraries, protocols, and software versions with known security flaws. For example, researchers have found devices using old versions of OpenSSL with published vulnerabilities. There's also buffer overflow vulnerabilities, improper input validation or buffer management in firmware code can lead to buffer overflow vulnerabilities. These may allow arbitrary code execution if exploited. Now, there's also insecure communication protocols. Analysis of firmware can reveal the use of insecure or unencrypted communication protocols, potentially allowing interception or manipulation of data. Now, there's also backdoors and debug interfaces, right? Some devices contain hidden backdoors or debug interfaces left over from development. These, right, can provide unauthorized access if discovered. Weak encryption implementation. Flaws in encryption algorithms or key management within firmware can compromise the security of stored or transmitted data. There's privilege escalation vulnerabilities. Improper access controls or permission settings in firmware may allow unprivileged users / hackers, cyber attackers, to gain elevated system access. Then there's unprotected sensitive information. Firmware images sometimes contain unencrypted sensitive data like API keys, certificates, or user information. Now, what are some ethical considerations you should keep in mind when using the CH341A for bug hunting? Because that's kind of like what it used, which is it could be used for good, but it could be used for bad. Now, when using the CH341A or similar tools for bug hunting and security research, now keep this in mind. The permission and the scope. Only test systems and devices you own or have explicit permission to examine, because unauthorized access is illegal and unethical. Stay within the defined scope of bug bounty programs or security assessments. Don't test out of scope assets, right? Even if you find vulnerabilities. Also, have some responsible disclosure. If you discover vulnerabilities, report them responsibly to the vendor or through proper disclosure channels. Don't publicly disclose vulnerabilities before giving the vendor time to address them. Consider participating in official bug bounty programs when available. Now, data protection. Be careful not to access, exfiltrate, or expose any sensitive user data or confidential information during testing. Minimize data collection and securely delete any data obtained during research. Now, there's also legal compliance. Understand relevant laws and regulations around reverse engineering and security research in your jurisdiction. Be aware that firmware analysis may have legal implications in some cases, even for devices you own. Motivations and impact. Focus on improving security rather than exploiting vulnerabilities for malicious purposes or personal gain. Consider the potential negative impacts of your actions and aim to minimize harm. Again, it's good to have some fun out there, but let's not do harm. Let's not go overboard here, right? Now, documentation and transparency, right? Keep detailed records of your testing process and findings. Be prepared to explain your methods and motivations if questioned. The goal ultimately should be to conduct research ethically to improve security, not cause damage or access systems without authorization. So, following responsible disclosure practices and focusing on constructive outcomes helps ensure bug hunting remains a positive contribution to cybersecurity. Now, here are some other tools to assist in bug hunting because we talked about one device, but let's get into it. There's Nucle, which is a fast and customizable vulnerability scanner designed to identify security flaws across various platforms, including applications, infrastructure, and cloud environments. It operates using a template-based approach, which is allowing users to define specific scanning methods through YAML files. This structure not only facilitates rapid scanning, but also ensures high accuracy with minimal false positives. The key features is the template-based scanning, but let's get a little bit more into it. Nucle employs a vast library of community contributed templates that outline methods for detecting specific vulnerabilities. Each template details the attack vector, severity, and potential exploits associated with the vulnerability. There's versatile protocol support. The scanner supports multiple protocols such as TCP, DNS, HTTP, and SSL, making it adaptable for various security assessments. There's bulk scanning capabilities. Users can specify multiple targets for scanning simultaneously, enhancing efficiency when assessing large networks or numerous assets. There's the integration with CI/CD pipelines. Nucle can be seamlessly integrated into continuous integration and continuous deployment workflows, allowing developers to monitor their environments for vulnerabilities actively. Then there's Binwalk, and Binwalk is, the functionality of it essentially is it searches binary images for embedded files and executable code. So Binwalk is a totally different tool I'm talking about here. It is specifically designed to identify files and code embedded inside. Now, there are firmware images that is related to this, right? Binwalk uses signature-based searches, entropy analysis, and heuristics to deconstruct complex firmware binaries. Now, it is fast and easy to use for firmware analysis. It supports a wide range of firmware types and formats. It can perform recursive scans to extract nested files. It offers entropy analysis to identify encryption or compression. It allows string searching within, firmware images. So it allows string searching within firmware images. So That is what I have for you today. Please take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and the like button. If you learned something, if you like this content, if you want more of it, please hit that subscribe button and the like button. Also hit that notification bell so you are alerted when I drop new videos. Also, what is your opinions? What do you feel? What is your concern? Please let me know in the comment section below. So stay safe. I appreciate your viewership. See you on the next video.